Why aren't you talking?
I don't know. All right. Well, hello, Internet. This is a very informal, thrown together live stream. For those of you watching around the world, which is probably close to 0 people, if not exactly 0 people. I guess brief introduction. This is my cousin Duncan, and we are going to take in the SOTU as much as we feel like it, or if we want to leave, I don't know. Because I think, well, anyways, that's Duncan. Duncan, I think...
We gotta stay live. We gotta watch it for at least like 15 minutes to see if the Ritalin wears off.
Well, so that's what I was gonna say, is like, really, the reality of it is we're gonna know pretty early on, at least I think, whether the whole thing is worth watching or it's like a nothing burger, right? Because nobody actually cares about the string or the speech, right? It's entirely whether or not the old guy screws up.
Yes.
So, yeah. So, like, that being said, I don't know. I think you're probably also of the opinion, and I don't want to just echo all of the things that all of the talk shows that we listen to say, but you're probably also of the opinion that the SOTU is stupid at this point and just a political speech given by the person in power and needs to go away eventually.
Yeah, it's going to be a campaign speech for Biden. That's all it is at this point.
So I guess while we're waiting, the background of the... Duncan, I just sent you the link to this in case you're looking to, I don't know, do anything with that. But anyways, in case people don't know, the State of the Union was originally a mandate from Congress to the President of the United States, who was the executive. And remember, they didn't talk every single day or have the internet or any of those things. It was literally the executive telling Congress what was going on, because Congress didn't know what was going on. And it was a handwritten letter to Congress from the president or the president's office saying, here are all the things going on. And then I think somewhere in like the 30s, it turned into a speech when kind of radio was like a thing, or even more of a prominent thing. And now it has devolved into whatever the heck this is that we're going to take in from Joe Biden, which is, like you said, literally a political speech. And for those reasons, that's why I think the State of the Union needs to die and go away and not come back. But we are watching because everybody has the same question in mind of, will the old man be able to get through the 45-minute to an hour-long speech and come out the other end not looking like a demented old guy?
Yeah, for me, it's he gave that press conference that went awry a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
He left and then came back.
Yeah.
And, you know, he called, what? He said the president of Egypt was the president of Mexico. That whole thing. He starts out strong and then fumbles, but that was only like 5 minutes long. So I want to see, can he make it at least a half hour? Will this be the shortest State of the Union ever?
Yeah, well, so clearly they've rested him up, obviously. He hasn't done any appearances this entire week. Not that he does appearances all that often anyways, but they're clearly resting him up. Here, we should have made this interesting somehow. Like, what? Dang it.
He's in the back right now with a Ritalin IV hooked up to him. They're gonna have to give him horse tranquilizer afterwards to bring him back down.
Dude, we should have had like SOTU bingo, like where you have like a, I don't know, a bingo sheet where, come on, man, this is America, for God's sake. What are the other Joe Bidenisms?
It's working.
It's working. I think this is America, for God's sake, is a definite. That's probably the freebie in the middle. I don't know. What is your over/under on time on whether or not, if he does royally and globally screw this up, how far in do you
how fast His team probably wrote a really short speech for him. It just
Yeah,
depends on
with
how
ad
fast
lib.
he can read off of a teleprompter.
The joint session will come to order.
Here we go.
The chair appoints as members of the committee on the part of the House to escort the President of the United States into the chamber. The gentleman from Louisiana, Mr. Scalise. The gentleman from Minnesota, Mr. Emmer. The gentlewoman from New York, Ms. Stefanik.
All right.
The gentleman from North
Yeah, I was gonna say I turned him down for the most part.
The gentleman from Alabama, Mr.
What
Palmer.
is?
The gentleman from Utah, Mr. Moore.
I would turn it
The
down even
gentlewoman
more.
from Michigan, Mr.
What?
McLean.
Turn it down even more.
The House be in
Even
order.
more than
The House
that?
be in order.
Yeah.
So they're doing all this stuff. So do you think that at some point the speaker just tells the president of the United States, yeah, we don't need you to come anymore. We can go back to the old. Like, what do you think has to happen to kill the SOTU?
I don't think anything kills it. I mean, you have to be a president with so much integrity that you don't care about this like free publicity that you could possibly get, and you just write a letter instead. And I don't think that'll ever happen.
What are they announcing right now? Is he just going through all of the congressmen? Oh, never mind.
No.
The President of the Senate, at the direction of that body, appoints the following senators as members of the committee on the part of the Senate to escort the President of the United States into the House.
Okay, this is so dumb.
They're choosing who has the privilege of escorting the president into the Senate chamber.
Who?
Probably some formality.
Yeah, but who like? Oops. But who? Who likes the whole pomp and circumstance thing? Remember when there was a reporter?
The people
somebody
in
said,
the room right now.
Yeah, well, but
They don't wanna
nobody
feel
else cares
special.
about that. Remember when Morning Joe during Joe Biden's inauguration was like, because of COVID, Joe Biden didn't get to experience the normal pomp and circumstance of a presidential inauguration. I like, who cares? Who cares who's going to escort the president 50 yards? Actually, I lied. I'm wrong here. This might be the only instance with this particular president that escorting him 50 yards actually means something.
Yeah. You need someone to hold on to.
Yeah, who's going to hold the president's
Well,
arm?
the people escorting him are probably all over 65 anyway. So.
How evident do you think the shuffle is going to be from the door entry? Like, how wide will his gate be?
How far does he have to go?
Well, he comes in from the back. So they have the Mr. Speaker, the President. Have they done that yet? No, they're still waiting.
Not yet. How rude is it if I eat on this?
Oh, I don't care. I'm gonna have to go get my baby in a bit.
Is she asleep?
Actually, she might go with Crystal to rehearsals. So.
Ooh. My baby's asleep.
Oh, lucky you.
Mr. Speaker.
Oh.
There you go.
I thought. Is the volume? How's the volume on your end? Because mine is all mixed up, so I don't know what's coming through where.
It's a nice volume. It's pretty quiet, but
Oh, it is.
we can still hear it. I think it's good that it's quiet.
Well, how much do you want to hear good old Grandpa Joe?
He's not there yet, so
Great
when he gets there,
grandpotus.
we can turn it up. But
What do you think? Hold on, you should look this up. But because I think there's like somebody did something on the cost of getting the president from the White House to the Capitol for this.
well,
It's
probably like millions of dollars, more
it's
than
like
you and I will pay in taxes our entire life.
Yeah, it's like crazy high to get him. Because like, if you've ever done that walk from the White House to the Capitol, like it's not far, like at all. But they take
to walk, but to drive,
no,
it's like
not.
5 minutes.
Yeah, it's walk. No, walking is like 5-10 minutes. It's not far.
I want to say it was a longer walk than that, but it's like a 5-minute drive for him. Yeah.
At the cost of, you should see if that's like anywhere published. So all of the what are they wearing white for this time? Because wasn't that like a thing when Trump?
Mr. Speaker, the Chief Justice and Associate
I just want to
Justices
see
of
if
the
he makes it
Supreme
through
Court.
it. I have a lot of riding on this.
Who's this lady? Isn't it a dude who says, "Mr. Speaker, the President of the United"? Have we gotten?
Apparently it's her now. Apparently she gets to do it now.
But does she do him too, or does she just do this?
I don't know. Maybe she's like the sergeant of arms and gets to do all of it.
Hold on, who just walked in that they're cheering for?
The Supreme Court.
I know the Supreme Court did, but somebody specifically, I think, walked in. Oh, it was Ketanji. Ketanji was last, and everybody cheered for Ketanji.
She's our most diverse member of the court, Joe Bob.
Dude, no, she's a MAGA extremist. She's in the pocket of Donald Trump, as evidenced by the 9-0 vote.
Definitely.
The Colorado Supreme Court decision, overturned by the federal Supreme Court, is only evidence that every single one of them, including Kagan, Jackson, and Sotomayor, are in the deep pocket.
It's funny because they had to agree because there's no way anyone with any integrity could have dissented on that, but they still wrote like a dissenting concurrence, which is hilarious to me. Which is basically like, we don't like that we had to make this decision, but we had to.
Dissenting concurrence.
Is that what it was called? I think that's what it was called.
I think you're right. I want to see Adam Schiff. That blows my mind that he's going to be a U.S. Senator.
Yeah. I didn't know that Katie Porter was running against him. I'm kind of surprised. She has, I mean, he had big money supporting him, but she has a pretty big grassroots.
Like in her district, kind of. And she paid a lot of
all over. Yeah, she was like all over Reddit for.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean anything. That's like, I don't know if that's not real.
I think the people that know her, that are
really
on her side, like her a lot. I don't think there's a single person alive that like knows Adam Schiff super well and really likes him. It's just he had more ads probably.
Oh yeah, dude, he spent crazy money. Well, how do you want to play this? Like, do we want to like?
I would have spent every single dollar I had because if you win that primary, you're guaranteed to be a senator for the rest of your life until you're
Hold
dead.
on. Yeah, that's that. And yeah, I think Adam Schiff is going to be a U.S. Senator, and that's crazy. But how do you want to play this speech? Like, we're going to watch it. Like, do you want to like
applause breaks? Maybe we can comment.
I was going to say, yeah, applause breaks. I'll try and mute it during the applause breaks. I don't know how well I'm going to be able to do that.
Let's get ready to mumble, dude. I love that. That's cool.
Wait, so you can use chat too? Let's get ready to mumble. Can I bring that on this? How do I show that? I'm not used to this. Yeah, here we go. Let's get ready to mumble. And then Jody's also in the comments. Jody's watched all like for so long. I appreciate
from the Associated Press.
Oh, dang.
This is the State of the Union address, live from the nation's capital.
Is it too loud?
Welcome to the Associated Press's coverage of the State of the Union.
Oh, what is this guy?
It's a dramatic night at the U.S. Capitol, and expectations are running pretty high for President Joe Biden's speech.
Okay.
I'm Josh Coates with the AP.
Is it muted on your end now?
Tonight faces a major moment.
Or is it not?
Through your speakers.
I gotta turn down these speakers. Give me a second. I'll be right.
According to AP NORC polling, saying he has the mental capability to be president.
Yeah, take a shot every time we can't understand what he's saying, and you just die.
Who is this dude? Taking his job very seriously. As if, okay, are you able to hear him? I don't know how much you're able to hear him. He just said, okay, so he just said tonight is the the beginning of the debate between the president's agenda and congressional Republicans, as if congressional Democrats are just completely useless, which they are, but I don't know.
Johnson and Kamala making awkward small talk.
Yeah, what do you think they talk about?
Pretending they don't hate each other.
What do you? I see. The thing is, I don't think they do.
Oh, they got a woman as the sergeant of arms now. Oh, that's kind of weird.
Never told to many Americans.
What is?
Why is that? Well, Biden's going to say that under his presidency,
hold on,
he's added roughly 15 million jobs. That's a record for any president.
Oh my gosh!
Are you going to put any context on that, or are you just going to stop there?
Naturally going to come back.
Well, so the thing is, like, what I don't understand is, like, well, I guess not what I don't understand. The big question, obviously, is are the American people going to freaking buy that?
And he's also going to discuss inflation. Now, inflation is...
Oh, there's some people in the comments. Mike says, take a shot every time he says, LOL. Mike, we would be dead. That's not advisable by any stretch of the imagination. Earl is watching from Humboldt. Actually, no, Earl, you're watching from the state of Jefferson, the unrecognized territory that should be a United State, part of the United States, the 51st United State. United State? 51st state. State of Jefferson.
For the president to try to bring the country over to his side, to see things his way.
Who do you think? I don't care about this guy. I'm gonna just mute him entirely. But so there's the tax plan that they're going to talk about. There's going to be inflation, the gouging of small businesses, gouging people for their profits, which is also
businesses.
Well,
their input costs haven't gone up because of inflation. They're just really greedy.
Yeah, dude, that's all it is. Shoot, I got to turn this down a little bit more. All right. I don't know if you're listening to this. Alabama Senator Katie Brick is going to deliver the response. What a thankless job that is.
Are not earning enough.
Yeah, it's always something like you've never heard of before. Because no one wants to do
it. And they're trying to like boost their own thing. Like I get it.
It has to be someone no one's heard of because they're the only ones that want the extra publicity.
Trying to figure out what the perfect tone would be. Trying to show
Matt Gaetz
both his compassion and his drive.
I wonder why they've had this camera so long on Matt Gaetz.
A moment of high energy for the president because he needs to be able to convince the country.
That's like the one
another
phrase that comes to mind when I think of Joe Biden.
The event
Do you think okay, yes or no? Does he jog the first couple steps?
Oh, 100%, dude. He's gonna do the weird thing where he jumps out with his hand. He goes like this, and then he stops.
To Congress to be read. That began to change in 1923.
Dang it, we should have plotted this out a little bit more, like a bingo thing, or like
By 1947, it expanded to TV,
like a prop bet
and what
situation.
We see now is a State of the Union address in which many people will be watching it over the internet, and not necessarily the entire.
Yeah, well, so like that's the thing too is if he looks like he's going strong, I guess we got to wait around to see if he has like a big. He goes Mitch McConnell and just goes dark, or but if he screws up early. But if he screws up early, I mean, I guess we still just talk about it, right? Because there's we probably just mute the rest of the thing and then just.
President Biden specifically challenged Republicans to not cut Social Security or Medicare benefits.
Oh. I don't know. Can you still hear this guy? Because he's talking about last year.
In an impromptu moment to agree to protect both programs and then get a standing ovation.
He said she couldn't find the stream. I said it's on Facebook, I think.
Look at what's going on right now in the House chamber.
Is it on your page?
Yes. Yes, it is. And on YouTube. But YouTube, well, I don't think this is very not in the usual slot. And I also haven't done a live stream show in like several weeks.
One thing to
So-
look for tonight is also to see which applause lines resonate.
Which applause lines resonate with the American people?
Is really trying to frame this as a question of who is on your side.
Do you think he
And then
brings
I
up Trump?
approved all these college kids, student loans.
Children.
Need the working class pay for them with their
If you
taxes.
look at the guests
Yes.
tonight, many of them
Do you think he
reproductive rights issues.
do you think he mentions Trump at all? Or the MAGA Republicans?
This is an intentional strategy.
That one's a little bit more likely. He's not going to mention Trump by name.
Resume the
I think you can actually, like,
in Roe versus Wade.
can he get in trouble for that? If he
Yeah,
makes it
but that's
too
never
obviously
stopped
a
anybody
campaign.
before.
Roe
Yeah.
versus Wade, allowing states
Well, remember when Kamala Harris, like
abortion
2 or 3 years ago,
and could be.
played like some
Sees this not only
video at a
as
bunch of churches,
but
and
a way for him
they were like,
to organize votes.
yeah, that's definitely a campaign thing at a church, which is not allowed. And she just ended up getting away with it. Nobody actually cared.
And when there are moments of major disputes, right now, President Biden has been unable to provide roughly $60 billion.
I'm pretty sure if your own party's in power, you can pretty much do whatever you want.
Have rejected
Yeah,
measures that
well, yeah.
address the Senate.
As evidenced by what the Justice Department
Ukraine
does.
is running low on munitions without that aid.
Oh yeah.
Estimates are that Russia basically has the equivalent of 5 bullets
Arresting every Midwestern granny that was
as the
at the
National
Capitol
Security
January
Council
6th, but
said, right
ignoring
now,
all the
aren't at a loss for courage,
BLM protesters, that kind of thing.
and that's why this measure really matters if the United States is going to be willing to confront.
I think it's hilarious that this guy is like pretending that the content of the speech matters.
its partnership with the European Union and NATO. In the audience tonight, for the
Like in any way, shape, or form.
is the Prime Minister of Sweden. Sweden just joined NATO as a member. Putin's invasion of the Ukraine caused countries like Sweden.
He also just said the Ukraine. I feel like that's like super outdated.
Is that Dr. Joe?
Dr. Joe Biden?
Is that her?
Yeah, that's her. Wow.
No.
Dr. Jill.
Seated next to the Prime Minister of Sweden, who's there. Sweden and Finland.
One of our
Who's,
nation's most preeminent
which one is-
doctors.
Which one is the Prime Minister of Sweden? Is it the black guy in front of Dr. Jill?
Ukraine, and Biden sees it as being strong.
Probably not.
Relationships with other countries, both in the EU as well as in Asia.
Oh, the cabinet
has
gets
to
introduced?
come in now.
Hold on. Wait a minute. So Mayorkas is getting introduced? There's
And we see
Blinken.
cabinet coming.
Who's
Yeah,
that
I'm-
guy?
Secretary of State Anthony Blinken out first. He's followed by Treasury Secretary
Janet Yellen. and
Janet-
then,
what?
Behind them is Defense Secretary Lloyd.
Oh, wait, that was Lloyd Austin?
and then Attorney General.
Wow, he lost some weight. Good for him.
Some of you might remember that
he's the one that apparently doesn't matter at all.
had surgery
Because he could
Yeah,
disappear
right.
for days and no one notices.
from the White House of that, something that caused tremendous consternation with members.
Yeah, I'm a fan.
But we're not seeing any residual frustration or anger as he walked down the aisle tonight.
I'm assuming Glasses guy is going to go silent once the president starts
More
talking.
cabinet members are making their way down.
Yeah, I kind of wish I would rather hear the room audio
On the Democratic side,
than this.
this is a chance for Democrats. to
Oh yeah,
defend
that might be super interesting.
happen to have a very large and broad base, but a very diverse base that it sometimes finds differences with each other.
A very diverse
This is a chance
base.
for them to come together, and that's what they're trying to do tonight. We see Pete Buttigieg, the Transportation Secretary, and Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm coming down.
Jennifer Granholm, she's the energy secretary. Didn't she make like
Against
a ton of money off of what was the bus company called? She like pushed this super big electric bus company.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and why
I
can't
think I remember hearing about that. That was the one that Kamala was talking about. In all her
yeah, well, she was like
speeches.
she was a big time like investor in it,
In the
and
electric
then
bus
that
company.
bus company got there. He goes. There's Mayorkas. Dude, Mayorkas's face is all over airports. I was in 4 different states in the last 24 hours, and I saw his face everywhere, which I feel like is not good from a branding standpoint.
Huh.
Right? Like,
This is kind of off topic, but did you hear those clips of that SNL sketch where they had
Yeah.
all of Biden's
Yep.
people talking about how high energy he was? It's like, oh, behind behind the scenes, he's full of energy. He's like running soul cycle classes, and he like came to the border and like jumped over the wall, like making fun of that. Anyway,
right.
I thought the guy that they had playing Mayorkas did a terrible impersonation of him because he was like high energy and like.
I'm getting a special guest here.
Over issues like funding.
Hi. Hey. Oh, look at that.
We're still waiting for several cabinet members to find their seats.
We're still waiting for several cabinet members. Hey, girly. Oh, look at that. Look, who's that? So we'll see how long this is.
This is a moment, almost like a reunion of glad handing. A chance
Yeah,
to
that's
just
fine.
say hi and wish each other well.
Girly's gonna watch the State of the Union with us.
Until bedtime. Isn't it already past her bedtime?
Far left on the screen, you can see West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin. Manchin has been one of the major players during Biden's tenure. He's
Now
not
you're
running for
muted.
re-election because West Virginia has increasingly turned Republican.
Should still take the truck.
But it was Manchin
Still take the
who
truck.
helped put together
Don't close it. Just leave it open. Leave it open.
the Inflation Reduction Act, which allowed for investment in renewable energy.
Sorry. Okay, so yeah, we've got Miss Mariah here, who is going to be watching the State of the Union with great amazement and adoration, and learning that. I know, girly.
Mitt Romney, who was just talking to Manchin. Romney is also not seeking re-election.
Oh shoot, am I still muted?
No, you're not anymore. You're fine.
Okay.
The fact that so many people are leaving Congress.
One of our youngest Americans going to be watching
What?
one of the oldest Americans.
tells you a lot.
Oh, so that's Jennifer Granholm. So she made like $2.5 million because she was pushing this bus company, this electric bus company, for like 2 years, and the Biden administration gave them like $1 billion or something crazy like that, and their stock shot up. And then she dumped all of her stock, and all of the buses like started catching on fire, and they ended up filing for bankruptcy.
That sounds about right. Isn't that why you
that's
get
like
in the government, though?
par for the course.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's why you get in the government, so you can pull shenanigans like that and just
Yeah,
make tons of money.
I mean, that's very much that's super Panera Bread. I do.
Yeah.
Okay, wait. So I know you know that about this, but do people in the comment section, if you don't live in California, do you know anything about the minimum wage in California for fast food workers going up to $20 an hour, except for Panera Bread, which is one of Gavin's biggest donors, owns like 24. Oh, that was a dude. What happened to the girl? Also, who's in the MAGA hat right here? Who is that?
Pretty funny. I like that. It's like one of the guests, probably. Don't they all get guests? Is that Marjorie? That might be Marjorie.
No, that's it. May be. Maybe it is.
From Democrats.
Girly, look at the president is shuffling
Speaker
in.
Johnson is also standing up there and applauding for the president. As he very slowly makes his way down
The
the
president
aisle
of the United States is 80 years older than my daughter. 81 years older.
This is a really
That's a funny comment. Both your daughter and the president are wearing diapers tonight.
He spent most of his adult life in the U.S. Capitol as a senator for Delaware.
That was very
He thinks
good.
of himself often in those terms still to this day when he thinks about what his
Hold on, I'm gonna
policies
change
mean
the
for
view here.
constituents. He even reads local Delaware newspapers and
Both
sends
your daughter and the
letters
president
of
are wearing
congratulatory
diapers
notes
today. I love
to
that.
people he reads about. And so again, this is a man at home in the U.S. Capitol who's made plenty of speeches here. In fact, back in 1983, when he was a senator, he delivered the Democratic
All right, so I
response
think the
to
plan
Ronald
should be
Reagan's State of the Union.
during
It
the
was a
applause
very
breaks,
unique
unless
response.
I gotta go
And yet
put the
Biden
pooper
did
to
so
bed,
without his suit jacket on,
we can kind
and
of,
standing up in his office.
I mean,
He had
real
his
quick
aides
snips of
working
yay
behind
or
him as he
nay
spoke.
on whether or
And he
not what he
literally did a
said was
walk and
legit
talk
or
like
not.
what you would see in the TV show The West Wing decades later.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Once he starts talking, I'm gonna mute
It's
myself
very
and eat
similar to
dinner.
what he might talk about
Oh,
tonight,
okay.
that he needed an economy with
What do you think
opportunity
they
and
give? Is
fairness
it
for
like
workers.
ADD?
And in doing
Is it
that, he
Adderall?
channeled the Great Depression era
I think so.
president
It's
Franklin
Adela.
D.
It's
Roosevelt
might be
said,
Ritalin. I think I heard it was
"It
Ritalin
can
or
be
something similar.
done." Tonight is a chance for him to prove that that's still
Dude, I wish this guy would stop talking. Just let us hear what's going on in the room.
Right now, it's just clapping.
I like picked the AP's stream to stream off of specifically so that there wouldn't be like dumb commentary.
Biden is still
Turns out
leading
there's
the
dumb
law.
commentary.
Behind him is Chuck Schumer, the New York senator and the Democratic leader in the Senate. Biden is going in for,
Let me see if there's any fun comments.
again, he is
Holy
with
cow.
Democrats who know that he is their choice in 2024.
Let's go,
Biden
Brandon.
has faced little opposition in the Democratic primary
And all the respect for our highest office.
about his 81
Earl, yeah.
from the
Earl depends for Jack Wagon Joe. Do you think that's the brand of diapers that the president wears? Yeah, you think so? Is there a Kirkland brand of adult diapers?
Right in front of Biden right now is Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Wow, more people with the Depends.
Holding up her phone,
Today's State of the
saying
Union is
something
brought
to them
sponsored by
while wearing
Depends.
a Make America Great Again hat. And
Because of my job, I know that they've invented
former Republican President Donald Trump.
diapers like that have that can sense quick changes in momentum and inflate
All right.
to stop you when you fall down.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, wait, but so,
so
okay,
maybe he's
so
wearing
the
something
lady,
like that.
the
Only
lady
best.
in the lady in the MAGA hat. How many
Yeah.
Instagram followers do you think she's gonna gain today because of that?
Did we get a good look up at her? Was she not who I thought she was?
No,
You
it's
can see
not.
that
It's not
Biden is
MTG.
looking for more selfies.
I wonder if
He's
she's
become
already
something of a
trending
selfie
on Twitter,
aficionado
because
when
that's
he's
the way
out
the
on
world
the
works
road.
now.
That's become one of his major ways of interacting with supporters.
I maybe
Joe
will not
Biden.
sit in my lap like that for more than 5 minutes without just getting way
Sometimes
too
after remarks, he can take 20
Joe Biden's. Oh no, wait, it is Marjorie.
with people
Oh.
getting those selfies.
All right. I don't know if I like that. I'm not.
Earl is right, dude. He better hustle. The shot's gonna wear off. You can't waste too much
He's
time.
going full speed, dude.
The 2012
This is as
Republican
fast as he
nominee for
goes.
president
He's sitting there talking to people though. He needs to
for Utah.
get it going.
Well, it's crazy too because this is
What's
probably
the
like,
half-life of Ritalin?
well, it's funny too because I feel like when you're in, I don't know, when you're in Congress, I feel like the attitude of people, your constituents, is like, oh, you get to meet with the president all the time. But in reality, none of them do. They all work at the same place, and nobody meets the CEO. There's I don't know, the C-level guys are Mitch McConnell and Chuck Schumer and Mike Johnson. But regular Congress people there's probably regular Congress people from some district in Oklahoma that are I'm going to get a selfie with the president. All right. The comment section is all about Marjorie and
President is taking
that's
this
Marjorie
moment,
in the hat. I guess it
even
is. I
taking
didn't
hold of
recognize
other
it.
people's phones just to get
Seriously,
the
look
shot
at they're
of Biden.
taking selfies. Get to the speech, dude.
What do you think he's going to talk about?
Was that a serious comment? What do you think he's going to talk about?
I don't know.
He's going to talk about the State of the Union. We don't have the internet, and therefore we need to know how the Union is going. Yes, Mariah? It's a very good point.
Yeah, that's an even better point. I didn't even think about that. This literally serves no purpose. Everyone knows how everything is going every day.
That's what I've been saying. Like, at the very beginning of this, I was talking about the State of the Union being a letter, a formal letter from the executive.
It's just a campaign speech. Everyone's chanting 4 more years. It's already a campaign event.
They're chanting 4 more years?
Yeah.
Are they talking
That's
like
what the
his
clapping
life?
was.
His lifespan or like the presidency?
Please, let him make it 4 more years.
Biden, of course, during his time in the Senate, was one of the, for a period, the chairs of the Senate Judiciary Committee, which gets to deal with the confirmation process for nominations.
Yeah.
Now he's
This is like what he's good at, though. This is what he based his entire political career on, is walking around and shaking people's hands. That's like all he knows how to do. So he's chilling right now. This is what he's been doing his entire life.
Yeah, but I think you're right. There's probably a timestamp on the big fat shot in the butt.
Yeah, he's probably feeling real good right now.
Poor old fart just wandering around. Geez, the comment section's just not.
Yeah, not respectful.
Wow. Yeah, lack of respect for the commander-in-chief of the greatest military on the planet. I disavow.
This is his chance.
All right, but seriously, let's get to the dang podium. All right, how many split stands do you think we have between Johnson and Harris? Like where Harris stands and Johnson doesn't? Also, do we know who the designated survivor is? I know I'm jumping all over the place with questions that you don't know.
Democratic primary contest.
No, I'm in tune to all this.
Is Georgia Senator Raphael Warnock.
All right, here we go.
The speaker's there.
He's coming to the roster.
What?
The speaker's there, and his entire cabinet is there. So whoever's after the cabinet.
Yeah, well, it's usually like the 20th person in line. Oh, is he gonna tear up the speech like Nancy did? Show him who's boss?
God, I can't believe she did that.
Yeah,
did you imagine if Johnson did that?
Yeah, dude. That was very, very dumb.
People would lose it.
All right.
Tony.
All right, I'm gonna eat now. Peace out.
What?
I said I'm gonna eat now.
All right. This will probably
give him like 5 minutes uninterrupted.
I was gonna say we'll probably take the first 5-10 minutes.
He's gonna be fine for at least 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It's bright in here.
Good evening. Good evening. If I were smart, I go home now. Mr. Speaker,
Did you hear that,
Madam
Joe?
Vice President, members of Congress.
No, what did he say?
His first line was, "If I was smart, I'd go home now."
1941.
That's what he said. He said, "If I were
Franklin
smart,
Roosevelt
I'd
came to
go
this
home
chamber
now."
to speak to the nation. And he
Just true.
said, I address you at a moment unprecedented in the history of the Union. Hitler was on the march. War was raging in Europe. President Roosevelt's purpose was to wake up Congress and alert the American people that this was no ordinary time. Freedom and democracy were under assault in the world. Tonight, I come to this same chamber to address the nation. Now, it's we who face an unprecedented moment.
Wow.
In the history of the Union. And yes, my purpose tonight is to wake up the Congress and alert the American people that this is no ordinary moment either.
Hold on, are you listening to
Not
this?
since President Lincoln
He's comparing now to when we entered World War II.
He's slurring his
What
speech a
makes our
lot
moment
already.
rare
Really?
is freedom and
He sounds
democracy are under
awful.
attack both at home and
I don't know.
overseas at the very same time.
How desperate do you think
Overseas, Putin of Russia is on the
all the
march,
Democrat,
invading
the
Ukraine,
high Democrats, how
sowing
desperate do you think
chaos
they are
throughout
for him to
Europe and
mess up
beyond.
horribly at this?
If
I
anybody
think
in
they
this
want
room
to
thinks Putin
screw
will
up so
stop
they can get
Gavin-
someone
Ukraine,
else in there.
I
Yeah,
assure
dude,
you,
Gavin is-
But I mean like Schumer and Pelosi and all of them.
Gavin's chomping at the bit for him to screw up.
Ukraine can stop Putin. Ukraine can stop Putin if we stand with Ukraine and provide the weapons that it needs to defend itself. That is all. That is all Ukraine is asking. They're not asking for American soldiers. In fact, there are no American soldiers in war in Ukraine, and I'm determined to keep it that way.
That's
But
good.
now, assistance to Ukraine is being blocked by those who want to walk away from our world leadership. Wasn't long ago when a Republican president named Ronald Reagan thundered, "Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall." Now my predecessor, a former Republican president, tells Putin, quote, "Do whatever the hell you want." That's a quote.
Yeah, very out of context quote.
Bowing down to the Russian leader. I think it's outrageous, it's dangerous, and it's
He also
unacceptable.
didn't say that.
Yeah, not only did he not say that, even if he said it the way he said it, like, hold on, dude. Did you miss the entirety of what he said before? See, like,
As a founding member of NATO, the military alliance of democratic nations created after World War II to prevent war and keep the peace. And today, we've made NATO stronger than ever. Welcomed Finland to the alliance last year. And just this morning, Sweden officially joined, and their minister is here tonight. Can I stand up? Welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
who's the Nordic country with the very nice-looking 30-year-old something prime minister?
That was Finland. I'm not sure she's still senator.
Oh, she's not there anymore.
Strongest military alliance the world has ever seen. I say this to Congress, we have to stand up to Putin. Send me a bipartisan national security bill. History is literally watching. History is watching. If the United States walks away,
Did he
put
listen
Ukraine
to
at
the
risk.
creepy whisper?
Europe
History's
is at
watching.
risk. The free world will be at risk, emboldening others to do what they wish to do us harm. My message to President Putin, who I've known for a long time, is simple. We will not walk away.
Interesting.
We will not bow down. I will not bow down. In a literal sense, history is watching. History is watching.
It's four
Just
times
like
on the history's
watched
watching.
3 years ago on January 6th.
Dude, why is your camera
Stormed
off?
this very Capitol and placed a dagger to the throat of American democracy.
Because no one wants
Many
to
of you
watch
are
TV.
here on
Yeah,
the darkest
well,
of days.
it's weird.
We all saw with our own eyes the insurrectionists were not
finish that.
patriots. They'd come to stop the peaceful transfer of power, to overturn the will of the people. January 6th lies about the 2020 election and the plots that steal the election posed a gravest threat to U.S. democracy since the Civil War. But they failed. America stood. America America stood strong and democracy prevailed. We must be honest. The threat to democracy must be defended. My predecessor and some of you here seek to bury the truth about January 6th. I will not do that. This is the moment to speak the truth and to bury the lies. Here's the simple truth. You can't love your country only when you win.
I don't think this is a good line for him to be going on. Like, unless he thinks Democrats are going to just be like, oh yeah, Trump won fair and square. Like, I feel like this is a bad trajectory.
Ever since being elected to office, I ask all of you without regard to party to join together and defend democracy. Remember your oath of office is defending against all threats, foreign and domestic. Respect free and fair elections. Restore trust in our institutions. And make clear political violence has absolutely no place in America. Zero place. Again, it's not hyperbole to suggest history is watching.
He has to talk about January 6th because it's literally all they have at this point.
If we had a history's watching clock counter, we're at like 5 or 6 times.
Latoya Beasley, a social worker from Birmingham, Alabama. 14 months ago, she and her husband welcomed a baby girl thanks to the miracle of IVF. She scheduled treatments to have that second child. But the Alabama Supreme Court shut down IVF treatments across the state, unleashed by a Supreme Court decision overturning Roe v. Wade.
I feel like, should we go into the nuance of this and how wrong it is, or just let it sit there?
Which part?
For families like hers, to my friends across the aisle, don't keep this waiting any longer.
I feel like it's not important for people to run a whole campaign.
Guarantee it nationwide.
Like, if Trump bases his whole campaign around inflation and the border, and Biden bases his campaign around January 6th and
Roe v. Wade
IVF,
got it right.
he's gonna lose.
I thank Vice President Harris for being an incredible leader, defending reproductive freedom. There's so much more. Thank you. My predecessor came to office determined to see Roe v. Wade overturned. He's the reason it was overturned, and he brags about it. Look at the chaos that has resulted. Joining us tonight is Kate Cox, the wife and mother from Dallas.
So much
She's become
chaos,
pregnant
dude.
again and had a fetus of a fatal condition.
Thousands of babies
Her
are
doctor
being
told
born
Kate
because of
their own life
jerk.
and her ability to have
Terrible.
children in the future were at risk.
Dude,
If she didn't
Sarcasm, by the way. Hopefully.
no, yeah, understood. But I'm wondering, when are we going to get to any State of the Union part? Isn't this... Weren't we talking about this the whole time? Like, this whole thing is supposed to be like, hey, here's what's going on. Not, those evil Republicans are keeping us from murdering children and we don't like it.
Yeah, so far he hasn't talked about anything he's done. He's only just
Many of
bashed
you in this
Republicans.
chamber and my predecessor are promising to pass a national ban on reproductive freedom. My God, what freedom else would you take away? Look, it's a decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. The Supreme Court.
I don't know who that lady next to her is, but she looks like a female Matt Gaetz.
Women are not
Take away the
without
freedom for
electoral power.
geriatrics to
Excuse me, electoral or political power. You're about to realize just how much you're right about that.
You're about to realize what?
Clearly. Those bragging about overturning Roe v. Wade have no clue about the power of women. But they found out when reproductive freedom was on the ballot. We won in 2022 and 2020, and we'll win again in 2024. If you If you, the American people, send me a Congress that supports the right to choose, I promise you, I'll restore Roe v. Wade as the law of the land.
Yeah, this is all like, you're right. There's nothing of like, what is he like? You're supposed to be like, this is what we did. This is what we are currently in the process of doing. Not like, please do this.
America cannot go back.
It is a
I'm
campaign
here
speech. He just said,
tonight
if
to
I'm
show what I
elected, I'll
believe the
do
way
this.
forward. Because I know how far we come.
Yeah.
4 years ago next week, before I came to office, the country was hit by the worst pandemic and the worst economic crisis in a century. Remember the fear, record losses, remember the spikes in crime and the murder rate, raging virus that took more than 1 million American lives.
Remember the spikes of crime and the murder rate caused by Democrat
Mental health
voters?
crisis of isolation and loneliness. A president, my predecessor, failed the most basic presidential duty that he owes to American people, the duty to care. I think that's unforgivable. I came to office determined to get us through one of the toughest periods in the nation's history. We have. It doesn't make news in 1,000 cities and towns. The American people are writing the greatest comeback story never told. So let's tell the story here. Tell it here and now. America's comeback is building the future of American possibilities. Building an economy from the middle out and the bottom up, not the top down. Investing in all America.
Are you almost ready to turn your camera back on? This is very awkward.
We leave no one behind. The pandemic no longer controls our lives. The vaccines that saved us from COVID are now being used to beat cancer, turning setback into comeback.
Wait,
That's what America does.
Did he just say the vaccine can now beat cancer? Well, I missed what he said. Something about vaccines to beat cancer.
Folks, my inherited economy is on the brink. Now our economy is literally the envy of the world. 15 million new jobs in just 3 years. A record. A record. Unemployment at 50-year lows. A record 16 million Americans are starting small businesses, and each one is a little act of hope. With historic job growth and small business growth for Black and Hispanics and Asian Americans, 800,000 new manufacturing jobs in America and counting. Where is it written we can't be the manufacturing capital of the world? We are, and we will. More people have health insurance today. More people have health insurance today than ever before. The racial wealth gap is as small as it's been in 20 years.
So
wages keep going up, inflation keeps coming down. Inflation has dropped from 9% to 3%, the lowest in the world, and tending lower.
You used to be getting punched in the face 9 times. Now you're only getting punched in the face 3 times. Congrats.
Now, instead of importing foreign products and exporting American jobs, we're exporting American products and creating American jobs. Right here in America, where they belong.
I feel like he conflates high energy with just being angry.
Well, like enthusiasm doesn't mean yelling angrily.
American people are beginning to feel it. Consumer studies show consumer confidence is soaring. Buy America has been the law of the land since the 1930s.
Well, okay.
Past administrations, including my predecessor.
See, but I feel like I kind of agree with that. I agree with American sentiment is going through the roof, but that's not a good thing. Nobody has any money. They just realize, oh, money's meaningless now because the government just gives me stuff. So
American products and built by American workers. Creating good paying American jobs.
Dude, look at Mayor Pete. Mayor Pete's going to try and snake in there.
And thanks to our CHIPS and Science Act, the United States is investing more in research and development than ever before. During the pandemic, a shortage of semiconductors, chips, that drove up the price of everything from cell phones to automobiles. And by the way, we invented those chips right here in America. Well, instead of having to import them Private companies are now investing billions of dollars to build new chip factories here in America, creating tens of thousands of jobs. Many of those jobs paying $100,000 a year and don't require a college degree.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't think so. And that's actually super interesting because that's like moving chip manufacturing away from Taipei or Taiwan is going to get them invaded. So I don't know.
Private sector investment in clean energy, advanced manufacturing, creating tens of thousands of jobs here in America. And thanks to our bipartisan infrastructure law, 46,000 new projects have been announced all across your communities. And by the way, I noticed some of you strongly voted against it or were cheering on that money coming in. I like it. I'm with you. I'm with you. If any of you don't want that money in your district, just let me know.
Oh, dang. That's
modernize our roads and bridges, ports and airports,
bribery.
Public transit systems. Removing poisonous lead pipes so every child can drink clean water without risk of brain damage.
This is a federal government issue. Local infrastructure.
Affordable high-speed internet for every American, no matter where you live, urban, suburban, or rural communities, in red states and blue states. Record investments in tribal communities.
At least this is actually about
because of my investment in a family farm.
Something relevant to what he's done, and not just like.
Because I invested in family farms led by my Secretary of Agriculture, who knows more about this than anybody I know. We're better able to stay in the family for those farms so that and their children and grandchildren won't have to leave home to make a living. It's transformative. A great comeback story is Belvedere, Illinois, home to an auto plant for nearly 60 years. Before I came to office, the plant was on its way to shutting down. Thousands of workers feared for their livelihoods. Hope was fading. Then I was elected to office and we raised the Belvedere repeatedly with auto companies knowing unions would make all the difference. The UAW worked like hell to keep the plant open and get these jobs back, and together we succeeded. Instead of auto factories shutting down, auto factories reopening,
dude,
new state-of-the-art battery factories being built to power those cars there at the same. The folks of Belvedere, I say, instead of your town being left behind, your community is moving forward again. Because instead of watching auto jobs in the future go overseas, 4,000 union jobs with higher wages are building the future in Belvedere right here in America.
All right, like Joe Biden, Mariah needs her diaper changed and to be put to bed. I'll be right back.
Here tonight is UAW President Shawn Fain, a great friend and a great labor leader. Shawn, where are you?
And the mobster. Oh no, that guy's the communist. Never mind.
And Dawn Sims, a third-generation worker, UAW worker at Belvedere. Shawn, I was proud to be the first president to stand on the picket line, and today, Dawn has a good job in her hometown, providing stability for her family and pride and dignity as well. Showing once again, Wall Street didn't build America. They're not bad guys. They didn't build it, though. The middle class built the country, and unions built the middle class. I say to the American people, when America gets knocked down, we get back up. We keep going. That's America. That's you, the American people. It's because of you America's coming back. It's because of you our future is brighter. It's because of you that tonight we can proudly say the state of our union is strong and getting stronger. Tonight, I want to talk about the future of possibilities that we can build together. A future where the days of trickle-down economics are over, and the wealthy and the biggest corporations no longer get all the tax breaks. And by the way, I understand corporations. I come from a state that has more corporations invested than every one of your states in the United States combined. And I represented it for 36 years. I'm not anti-corporation, but I grew up in a home where trickle-down economics didn't put much on my dad's kitchen table. That's why I determined to turn things around so middle class does well. When they do well, the poor go way up and the wealthy still do very well. We all do well. And there's more to do to make sure you're feeling the benefits of all we're doing. Americans pay more for prescription drugs than anywhere in the world. It's wrong, and I'm ending it. With a law that I proposed and signed, not one of your Republican buddies voted for it, we finally beat Big Pharma. Instead of paying $400 a month or thereabouts for insulin with diabetes, and it only costs $10 to make, they only get paid $35 a month now and still make a healthy profit. And I want to, but what to do next? I want to cap the cost of insulin at $35 a month for every American who needs it. Everyone. For years, people have talked about it, but finally we got it done. We gave Medicare the power to negotiate lower prices on prescription drugs, just like the VA is able to do for veterans. That's not just saving seniors money, it's saving taxpayers money. We cut the federal deficit by 160 bips. Because Medicare will no longer have to pay those exorbitant prices to Big Pharma. This year, Medicare is negotiating lower prices for some of the costliest drugs on the market.
Just pay Big
That treat
Pharma
everything from heart disease to
$millions
arthritis.
for the next.
It's now time to go further and give Medicare the power to negotiate lower prices for 500 different drugs over the next decade. We're making a lot of money, guys. And that'll still be extremely profitable. We'll not only save lives, it will save taxpayers another $200 billion. Starting next year, the same law caps total prescription drug costs for seniors on Medicare at $2,000 a year, even for expensive cancer drugs that cost $10,000, $12,000, $15,000. I want to cap prescription drug costs at $2,000 a year for everyone. Folks, I'm going to get in trouble for saying that, but everyone to get in Air Force One, we're going to fly to Toronto, Berlin, Moscow, well, even Moscow, probably. And bring your prescription with you, and I promise you I'll get it for you for 40% the cost you're paying now. Same company, same drug, same place. Folks, the Affordable Care Act, the old Obamacare, is still a very big deal. Over 100 million of you can no longer be denied health insurance because of pre-existing condition. Well, my predecessor, many in this chamber, want to take this prescription drug away by repealing the Affordable Care Act. I'm not going to let that happen. We stopped you 50 times before, and we'll stop you again. In fact, I'm not only protecting it, I'm expanding it. We enacted tax credits of $800 per person per year, reduce health care costs for millions of working families. That tax credit expires next year. I want to make that savings permanent. To state the obvious, women are more than half our population, but research on women's health has always been underfunded. That's why we're launching the first ever White House initiative on women's health research, led by Jill, doing an incredible job as First Lady. To pass my plan for $12 billion to transfer women's health research and benefit millions of lives all across America. I know the cost of housing is so important to you. If inflation keeps coming down, mortgage rates will come down as well, and the Fed acknowledges that. But I'm not waiting. I want to provide an annual tax credit that will give Americans $400 a month for the next 2 years as mortgage rates come down, to put toward their mortgages when they buy their first home or trade up for a little more space. Just for 2 years. And my administration is also eliminating title insurance on federally backed mortgages. When you refinance your home, you can save $1,000 or more as a consequence. For millions of renters, we're cracking down on big landlords who use antitrust law, who break antitrust laws by price fixing and driving up rents. We've cut red tape so builders can get federally financing, which is already helping build a record 1.7 million new housing units nationwide. Now pass and build and renovate 2 million affordable homes and bring those rents down. To remain the strongest economy in the world, we need to have the best education system in the world. And I suspect all of you, want to give every child, a good start by providing access to preschool for 3 and 4 years old. You know, I think I pointed out last year that children coming from broken homes where there's no books, they're not read to, not spoken to very often, start school, kindergarten, or first grade, having heard 1 million fewer words spoken. Well, studies show that children who go to preschool are nearly 50% more likely to finish high school, go on to earn a 2- and 4-year degree, no matter what their background is. I met a year and a half ago with the leaders of the Business Roundtable. They were mad that they were angry. They were discussing why I wanted to spend money on education. I pointed out to them as vice president, I met with over 182 of those folks. Don't hold me the exact number. And I asked them what they need most, the CEOs. You've had the same experience on both sides now. They say a better educated workforce, right? So I looked at them and I say, I come from Delaware. Mine used to be the 8th largest corporation in the world. And every new enterprise they bought, they educated the workforce to that enterprise. But none of you do that anymore. Why are you angry with me, providing you the opportunity for the best educated workforce in the world? And they all looked at me and said, I think you're right. I want to expand high-quality tutoring and summer learning and see that every child learns to read by 3rd grade. I'm also connecting local businesses and high schools so students get hands-on experience and a path to a good-paying job, whether or not they go to college. And I want to make sure that college is more affordable. Let's continue increasing the Pell Grants to working and middle-class families and increase record investments in HBCUs, and minority-serving institutions, including Hispanic institutions. When I was told I couldn't universally just change the way in which we dealt with student loans, I fixed 2 student loan programs that already existed to reduce the burden of student debt for nearly 4 million Americans, including nurses, firefighters, and others in public service. Like Keenan Jones, a public educator from Minnesota, who's here with us tonight. Keenan, where are you? Keenan, thank you. He's educated hundreds of students so they can go to college. Now he's able to help, after debt forgiveness, get his own daughter to college. And folks, look. Such relief is good for the economy because folks are now able to buy a home, start a business, start a family. While we're at it, I want the public school teachers a raise. And by the way, the first couple of years we cut the deficit. Now let me speak to the question of fundamental fairness for all Americans. I've been delivering real results in fiscally responsible ways. We've already cut the federal deficit. We've already cut the federal deficit over $1 trillion. I signed the bipartisan deal to cut another $1 trillion in the next decade. It's my goal to cut the federal deficit another $3 trillion by making big corporations and the very wealthy finally beginning to pay their fair share. Look, I'm a capitalist. If you want to make or can make $1 million or millions of bucks, that's great. Just pay your fair share in taxes. A fair tax code is how we invest things to make this country great. Healthcare, education, defense, and so much more. But here's the deal. The last administration enacted a $2 trillion tax cut. Overwhelmingly benefit the topping 1%. The very wealthy, the biggest corporation, and exploded the federal deficit. They added more to the national debt than any presidential term in American history. Check the numbers. Folks at home, does anybody really think the tax code is fair? Do you really think the wealthy and big corporations need another $2 trillion tax break? I sure don't. I'm going to keep fighting like hell to make it fair. Under my plan, nobody earning less than $400,000 a year will pay an additional penny in federal taxes. Nobody, not one penny. And they haven't yet. In fact, the child tax credit I passed during the pandemic cut taxes for millions of working families and cut child poverty in half. Restore that child tax credit. No child should go hungry in this country. The way to make the tax code fair is to make big corporations and the very wealthy begin to pay their fair share. Remember in 2020, 55 of the biggest companies in America made $40 billion and paid zero in federal income tax. Zero. Not anymore. Thanks to the law I wrote and we signed, big companies have to pay a minimum of 15%. But that's still less than working people pay in federal taxes. It's time to raise corporate minimum tax to at least 21%. So every big corporation finally begins to pay their fair share. I also want to end tax breaks for big pharma, big oil, private jets, massive executive pay when it's only supposed to be $1 million that can be deducted. They can pay $20 million if they want, but deduct $1 million. End it now. You know, there are 1,000 billionaires in America. You know what the average federal tax is for those billionaires? No. They're making great sacrifices, 8.2%. That's far less than the vast majority of Americans pay. No billionaire should pay a lower federal tax rate than a teacher, a sanitation worker, or a nurse. I propose a minimum tax for billionaires of 25%, just 25%. You know what that would raise? That would raise $500 billion over the next 10 years. Now imagine what that could do for America. Imagine a future with affordable child care. Millions of families can get they need to go to work to help grow the economy. Imagine a future with paid leave, because no one should have to choose between working and taking care of their sick family member. Imagine a future of home care and elder care, and people living with disabilities, so they can stay in their homes and family caregivers can finally get the pay they deserve. Tonight, let's all agree once again to stand up for seniors. Many of my friends on the other side of the aisle want to put Social Security on the chopping block. Anyone
Math
who tries
wants
to
to
cut
put Social Security on the
raise the
chopping block.
retirement age, I will stop you.
It's been pretty boring.
The working people who built this country
All he's done is talk
pay
about how
more to
he's going to
Social
spend
Security
more
than
money.
millionaires and billionaires.
Oh, good.
do.
And
It's
then
not
he-
fair. We
he's
have
been
2
doing the
ways to
whole,
go.
like, you need to pay your
Republicans
fair
can
share
cut Social
thing for the
Security and give
last,
more
like,
tax
10
breaks to the wealthy. That's the proposal. Oh no, you guys don't want another $2 trillion tax cut? I kind of thought that's what your plan was. Well, that's good to hear. You're not going to cut another $2 trillion for the super wealthy. That's good to hear.
What?
I'll
What?
protect and strengthen Social Security and make the wealthy pay their fair share.
He's done the wealthy pay their fair share thing for like the last 10 years.
Look,
I feel like he just tried to do the thing he did last year, and it didn't land.
too many corporations raise prices to pad their profits, charging more and more for less and less. That's why we're cracking down on corporations engaged in price gouging and deceptive pricing, from food to healthcare to housing. In fact, the snack companies think you won't notice if they change
Those damn
the size
snack
of the bag and
companies.
put a hell of a lot fewer, same size bag, put fewer chips in it. No, I'm not joking.
He's gonna legislate a mandatory minimums for chips in snack bags.
Jesus, man, there needs to be at least 300 Cheez-Its in the bag.
You probably all saw that commercial on Snickers bars. You get charged the same amount, and you got about, I don't know, 10% fewer Snickers in it. Look, I'm also getting rid of junk fees. Those hidden fees at the end of your bill that are there without your knowledge. My administration announced we're cutting credit card late fees from $32 to $8. Banks and credit card companies are allowed to charge what it costs them to instigate the collection. And that's more, a hell of a lot, like $8 and 30-some dollars. They don't like it. Credit card companies don't like it. But I'm saving American families $20 billion a year with all the junk fees I'm eliminating. Folks at home, that's why the banks are so mad. It's $20 billion in profit. I'm not stopping there. My administration proposed rules to make cable, travel, utilities, and online ticket sellers tell you the total price up front, so there are no surprises. It matters. It matters. And so does this. In November, my team began serious negotiation with a bipartisan group of senators. The result was a bipartisan bill with the toughest set of border security reforms we've ever seen. Oh, you don't think so? Oh, you don't like that bill, huh? That conservatives got together and said it was a good bill? I'll be darned. That's amazing. That bipartisan bill would hire 1,500 more security agents and officers, 100 more immigration judges, help tackle the backload of 2 million cases, 4,300 more asylum officers, and new policies so they can resolve cases in 6 months instead of 6 years now.
This is really slurry.
Yeah, it is.
What are you against?
Like, obviously, what he's saying is BS, but just...
More high-tech drug detection machines to significantly increase the ability to screen and stop vehicles smuggling fentanyl into America. That's killing thousands of children.
He can slur as much as he wants.
This bill would save lives. And bring order to the border.
I don't think so, dude.
Me and any new president.
I think so.
New
Nothing's
emergency
gonna make
authority
the news
temporarily
unless he,
shut
like,
down the
full on
border,
just
and
collapses.
the number of migrants at the border is overwhelming. The Border Patrol Union has endorsed this bill. The Federal Chamber of Commerce is, yeah. You're saying low. Look at the facts. I know you know how to read.
I think he's egging them on too much. Like, I don't think this makes him look good.
Would endorse the bill as well, the majority right now. But unfortunately, politics has derailed this bill so far. I'm told my predecessor called members of Congress in the Senate to demand they block the bill. He feels political win. He viewed it as would be a political win for me and a political loser for him. It's not about him. It's not about me. I'd be a winner. Not really. Lincoln Riley, an innocent young woman who was killed by an illegal. That's right. But how many of thousands of people being killed by illegals? To her parents, I say, my heart goes out to you, having lost children myself. I understand. But look, if we change the dynamic at the border, people pay these smugglers $8,000 to get across the border because they know if they get by and let into the country, it's 6 to 8 years before they have a hearing. And it's worth taking the chance of the $8,000. But
dude, this is going off the rails.
Months, 6 weeks, the idea is it's highly unlikely that people will pay that money and come all that way, knowing that they'll be able to be kicked out quickly. Folks,
he also said the girl's name wrong.
My Republican friends owe it to the American people. Get this bill done. We need to act now. And if my predecessor is watching, instead of paying politics and pressuring members of Congress to block the bill, join me in telling the Congress to pass it. We can do it together. But that's what apparently here's what he will not do. I will not demonize immigrants saying they are poison in the blood of our country. I will not separate families. I will not ban people because of their faith. Unlike my predecessor on my first day, as I introduced a comprehensive bill to fix our immigration system, take a look at it. It has all these and more.
Dude, what is he
Secure the
saying?
border.
Dude, okay, so the speech has been going for about 40 minutes, and this is getting bad.
With a heart and soul that draws from old and new. Home to Native Americans, and ancestors have been here for thousands of years. Home to people of every place, from every place on earth. They came freely. Some came in chains. Some came when famine struck, like my ancestral family in Ireland. Some to flee persecution, to chase dreams that are impossible anywhere but here in America. That's America. And we all come from somewhere, but we're all Americans.
Problems with the teleprompter, he never can really go off track that much. The coughing into the mic sounds pretty bad, though.
Well, yeah, but also he's
a simple choice. We can fight about fixing the border, or we can fix it. I'm ready to fix it. Send me the border bill now.
I don't think going on the border bill is a good idea.
Yeah, I mean,
knows that that's not the reason why the border.
Yeah, that's a bad political play.
59 years ago today, in Selma, Alabama, hundreds of foot soldiers for justice marched across the Edmund Pettus Bridge, named after the Grand Dragon of the Ku Klux Klan, to claim their fundamental right to vote. They were beaten, they were bloody, and left for dead. Our late friend and former colleague, John Lewis, was on that march. We miss him. But joining us tonight are other marchers, both in the gallery and on the floor, including Betty Mae Fikes, known as the voice of Selma, the daughter of gospel singers and preachers. She sang songs of prayer and protest on that bloody Sunday to help shape the nation's conscience. 5 months later, the Voting Rights Act passed and was signed into law. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Wait, is that the Prime Minister of Sweden?
But 59 years later, their forces taking us back in time. Voter suppression, election subversion, unlimited dark money, extreme gerrymandering. John Lewis is a great friend to many of us here, but if you truly want to honor him and all the heroes that march with him, then it's time to do more than talk. Pass the Freedom to Vote Act.
Yeah.
The John Lewis Voting Right Act.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
getting through sentences.
Yeah, well, the slurring's a lot, and like I'm
can kind of bail him out by clapping when he's done, but
another core value of America, our diversity across American life. Banning books, it's wrong. Instead of erasing history, let's make history. I want to protect fundamental rights. Pass the Equality Act.
Dude, it's like every
says like in the context of the other words, but
yeah, but every 10th word, every 9th or 10th word is just
yeah.
Raise the federal minimum wage because every worker has a right to a decent living more than $7 an hour.
It's almost evolved into him shouting.
We're also making history by confronting the climate crisis, not denying it. I don't think any of you think there's no longer a climate crisis. At least I hope you don't. I'm taking the most significant action ever on climate in the history of the world. I'm cutting our carbon emissions in half by 2030, creating tens of thousands of clean energy jobs, like the IBW work is building and installing 500,000 electric vehicle charging stations. Conserving 30% of America's lands and waters by 2030. And taking action on environmental justice, fence line communities smothered by the legacy of pollution. Pattern after the Peace Corps and America Corps, we launched the Climate Corps to put 20,000 young people to work in the forefront of our clean energy future. I'll triple that number in a decade. To state the obvious, all Americans deserve the freedom to be safe. And America is safer today than when I took office. The year before I took office, murder rates went up 30%. 30% they went up. The biggest increase in history. It was then, through my American Rescue Plan, which every American voted against, I might add, we made the largest investment in public safety ever.
No, but it sounds like you can rattle him.
Decrease in history. Violent crime fell to one of its lowest levels in more than 50 years. But we have more to do. We have to help cities invest in more community police officers, more mental health workers, more community violence intervention. Give communities the tool to crack down on gun crime, retail crime, and carjacking. Keep building trust as I've been doing by taking executive action on police reform.
So the headline here, if it isn't just Biden stumbles through speech, is also Joe Biden takes Donald Trump's policies and tries to make them his own.
Or have it on their record.
Well, he's talking about, like, we need to deport people who shouldn't be here. We need to build a wall. We need to build our communities better.
Yeah, we need to like crack down on retail crime. Like,
Yeah.
it's your side that caused
So we can
all that
finally
in the first place.
end the scourge against women in America. There are other kinds of violence I want to stop.
Jeff in the comments says, well, basically points out, I wonder if we're going to get to any trans stuff.
I honestly didn't think he was even going to talk about the border, but
Went to
I don't
Uvalde
think
for a
he's
couple
gonna talk
days.
about that.
We spent hours and hours with each of the families.
Maybe he would.
We heard their message, so everyone in this room, in this chamber, could hear the same message. The constant refrain, and I was there for hours meeting with every family. They said, do something. Do something. Well, I did do something by establishing the first ever Office of Gun Violence Prevention in the White House, that the Vice President is leading the charge. Thank you for doing it. Meanwhile,
He sounds really old.
Meanwhile, my predecessor told the NRA he's proud he did nothing on guns when he was president.
What?
After another shooting in Iowa recently, he said, when asked what to do about it, he said, just get over it. There's his quote, just get over it. I say, stop it. Stop it, stop it, stop it. I'm proud we beat the NRA when I signed the most significant gun safety law in nearly 30 years because of this Congress.
It's like every sentence there's a word that's like,
I'm demanding a ban on assault weapons and high-capacity magazines. Pass universal background checks. None of this. None of this. I taught the Second Amendment for 12 years. None of this violates the Second Amendment or vilifies responsible gun owners.
wow.
You know, as we manage challenges at home, we're also managing crises abroad, including in the Middle East. I know the last 5 months have been gut-wrenching for so many people, for the Israeli people, for the Palestinian people, and so many here in America. This crisis began on October 7th with a massacre by a terrorist group called Hamas, as you all know. 1,200 innocent people, women and girls, men and boys, slaughtered after enduring sexual violence. The deadliest day for the Jewish people since the Holocaust. And 250.
And now he's doing everything he can to backpedal supporting them.
Our families whose loved ones are still being held by Hamas. I pledge to all the families that will not rest until we bring any one of your loved ones home. We also...
We got a Johnson stand. What? Pan the camera to Ilhan.
We will also work around the clock to bring home Evan and Paul, Americans being unjustly detained by the Russians and others around the world. Israel has the right to go after Hamas. Hamas ended this conflict by releasing hostages, laying down arms, could end it by releasing the hostages, laying down arms, and surrendering those responsible for October 7th. But Israel has Israel has a added burden because Hamas hides and operates among the civilian population like cowards, under hospitals, daycare centers, and all the like. Israel also has a fundamental responsibility, though, to protect innocent civilians in Gaza.
I don't think
This
that's true.
war-
They don't have to. Well, never mind.
Well, it's insinuating they're not
It's
doing
taken a
everything
greater
they
toll on
can.
innocent civilians than
to
all
protect
previous
civilians
wars
already.
in Gaza
Like,
combined.
Well,
More than 30,000 Palestinians have been killed, most of whom
Interesting.
are
It's
Hamas.
like
Thousands
losing
and thousands of
hundreds of
innocent women and
soldiers
children,
because
girls
they're
and
going in on
boys,
foot rather
also
than just
orphaned.
raising
Nearly
buildings.
2 million
Like,
more Palestinians
so
under
frustrating.
bombardment or displacement.
well,
Homes destroyed, neighborhoods in rubble, cities in ruin,
also,
families without food.
is that 30,000 number legit, or is that the Hamas
probably
number?
the Hamas number.
Yeah, like I
I think
don't.
they say 50,000. I don't know. It's just
All
Whatever.
the hostages
who
released.
knows.
To get the hostages home and ease the intolerable and humanitarian crisis and build toward an enduring, something more enduring. The United States has been leading international efforts to get more humanitarian assistance to Gaza. Tonight,
Which
I'm
Hamas will
directing
just
the U.S.
steal.
military to
Like,
lead an
what?
emergency mission
That's
to
another
establish a
stupid
temporary
point.
pier in the Mediterranean on the coast of Gaza that can receive large
Hamas
shipments
raids the
carrying
aid trucks
food,
like
water,
when they
medicine,
come in, and
temporary
the
shelter.
civilians don't get any
No
of it.
U.S. boots will be on the ground. A temporary
Jeff says,
pier
"Oh,
will
he's
enable a
gassed. Doesn't have
massive
much
increase
left."
in the
I think I
humanitarian
agree,
assistance
dude. I
in
like.
Gaza every day.
He seems toast.
I like.
He's definitely
How much-
getting worse as
And
this keeps
Israel
goes on.
must do its part.
Yeah.
Israel must allow more aid into Gaza to ensure humanitarian
He's just
workers
reading the
aren't caught in the
teleprompter
crossfire.
now. He's not really.
And they're announcing they're going to
Yeah. Mike said,
have a crossing.
"Have you
in
noticed he's
northern Gaza.
staring at the teleprompter?"
For
Yeah.
leadership of Israel, I say this: humanitarian assistance cannot be a secondary consideration or a bargaining chip. Protecting and saving innocent lives has to be a priority. As we look to the future, the only real solution to the situation is a two-state solution over time. And I say this as a lifelong supporter of Israel. My entire career, no one has a stronger record with Israel than I do. I challenge any of you here. I'm the only American president of Israel in wartime. But there is no other path that guarantees Israel's security and democracy. There is no other path that guarantees that Palestinian can live in peace with peace and dignity. There's no other path that guarantees peace between Israel and all of its neighbors, including Saudi Arabia, with whom I'm talking. Creating stability in the Middle East also means containing the threat posed by Iran. That's why I built a coalition of
longer
more
do you
than
think
a
this
dozen
goes?
countries.
That's what I'm
It's
saying.
gone this
International
long.
shipping.
That's what I'm saying. Is like it's got to be over soon, or like what has he not talked about yet?
As Commander-in-Chief,
Don't
I will
talk
not
about
hesitate
LGBT anything
to
yet.
direct further measures to protect.
Yeah, I don't. Do you think he does? I don't think he does.
No, this might be the last thing.
For years, I've heard many of my Republican and Democratic friends say that China is on the rise and America's falling behind. They've got it backwards. I've been saying it for over 4 years, even when I wasn't president. America's rising. We have the best economy in the world. And since I've come
Look at this
over, our
comment.
GDP is up, our trade deficit with China is down to the lowest point in over a decade. And we're standing up against China's unfair
Yeah, he
economic
did this.
practices.
Good,
We're standing up for peace and stability across the Taiwan
I don't
Strait.
know.
I've revitalized our partnership and alliance in the Pacific. India, Australia, Japan, South Korea, Pacific Islands. I've made sure that the most advanced American technologies can't be used in China, not allowing to trade them there. Frankly, for all this tough talk on China, it never occurred to my predecessor to do any of that. I want competition with China, not conflict. And we're in a stronger position to win the conflict of the 21st century against China than anyone else, for that matter, than any time as well. Here at home, I've signed over 400 bipartisan bills. There's more to pass my unity agenda. Strengthen penalties on fentanyl trafficking. You don't want to do that, huh? Pass bipartisan privacy laws to protect our children online. Harness the promise of AI to protect us from peril.
Okay.
And AI voice impersonations and more. And keep our truly sacred
Did he say
obligations.
Wait, what?
And AI voice impersonations.
Care for them
Good
and their
luck.
families when they come home
Good luck with
and when they don't.
Huh.
That's why the song Support and Help of Dennis and the VA, I signed the PACT Act. One of the most significant laws ever, helping millions of veterans exposed to toxins who now are battling more than 100 different cancers.
All right, does he talk about
Don't come home.
Bo,
We owe them and their families.
who?
We owe it to ourselves to keep supporting our new health research
Yeah,
agency
probably.
called ARPA-H. And remind us that we can do big things, like end cancer as we know it, and we will.
I will cure cancer, Biden 2024.
He says that every speech. He loves that one. He's been saying that for years.
Let me close with this. Yay!
That's funny. Somebody asked, did he mention Lake and Riley? Yes, but he said Lincoln
I know you don't
Railroad.
want to hear any more, Lindsay, but I got to say a few more things. I know it may not look like it, but I've been around a while. When you get to be my age, certain things become clearer than ever. I know the American story. Again and again, I've seen the contest between competing forces in the battle for the soul of our nation. Between those who want to pull America back to the past and those who want to move America into the future. My lifetime has taught me to embrace freedom and democracy, a future based on core values that have defined America: honesty, decency, dignity, equality, to respect everyone, to give everyone a fair shot, to give hate no safe harbor. Now other people
Ironic.
my age see it differently. The American story of resentment, revenge, and retribution, that's not me.
Good Lord, that's
I
all
was
his
born in
DOJ's
mid-World
done.
War II when America stood for the freedom of the world. I grew up in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and Claymont, Delaware, among working class people who built this country. I watched in horror as two of my heroes, like many of you did, Dr. King and Bobby Kennedy, were assassinated.
Bobby
Their legacy
King.
inspired me to pursue a career of service.
I was already
I left the law firm and became a public defender because my
45 years
city of
old.
Wilmington was the only city in America occupied by the National Guard after Dr. King was assassinated because of the riots. And I became a county councilman almost by accident. I got elected to the United States Senate when I had no intention of running at age 29. Then vice president of our first black president. Now president to the first women vice president. In my career, I've been told I was too young. By the way, they're going to let me on the Senate elevators for votes sometimes. Not a joke.
What?
There's no way that happened. There's no way that's
I've been told
true.
I'm
What did he say?
He said they didn't let him on the
Whether
Senate
you're old,
elevators
I've
for
always been
for
known.
votes.
I've always known what endures.
Not a
Known
shot
our
that's
North
true.
Star. The very idea of America is that we're all created equal. It deserves to be treated equally throughout our lives. We've never fully lived up to that idea, but we've never walked away from it either. And I won't walk away from it now. I'm optimistic. I really am. I'm optimistic, Nancy. My fellow Americans, the issue facing our nation isn't how old we are, it's how old are our ideas. Hate, anger, revenge, retribution are the oldest of ideas. But you can't lead America with ancient ideas that only take us back. You need America, the land of possibilities. You need a vision for the future and what can and should be done. Tonight you've heard mine. I see a future where defending democracy, you don't diminish it. I see a future where we restore the right to choose and protect our freedoms, not take them away. I see a future where the middle class finally has a fair shot and the wealthy have to pay their fair share in taxes. I see a future where we save the planet from the climate crisis and our country from gun violence. Above all, I see a future for all Americans. I see a country for all Americans. And I will always be president for all Americans because I believe in America. I believe in you, the American people. You're the reason we've never been more optimistic about our future than I am now. So let's build the future together. Let's remember who we are. We're the United States of America.
For God's sake, say it. Say it.
There's nothing beyond our capacity when we act together. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
He's so annoying. He literally just bashes Republicans for like an hour and then goes like, talks about unity and how he's president for all Americans. Like,
yes, okay.
So annoying.
So hold on. Let's zoom out. Like, obviously, you can quibble about pretty much everything he said.
I know.
But also like,
where'd he go? Pan back to him. I want to see him walk off the stage.
But also, okay, so I'm muting him. But like, so the 30,000-foot view. What do people take away from this? If I'm looking at this from kind of like as objective as I can be, obviously having an opinion, I'm looking at it as he slurred a lot. Like, was there?
I feel like that was not even remotely close to as bad as it could have been.
No, you're right.
Like, that wasn't good.
You're right. Well, but I'm thinking like, okay, so this is random.
I didn't get what I wanted. But
yeah. One of the biggest content pieces that I've ever done was his last State of the Union speech when he says, "I promise I will," and then it was like I clipped to like a Who Wants to Be a Millionaire scene of like, what did he just say? And that thing went nuts. I watched that with that sort of piece of content in mind, knowing that I'm going to be able to pull a bunch of stuff and clip it out, because it like literally every 10th word was slurred. So like, okay, again, zoom out past the like specifics of he said this and this is so out of context. So that one, he slurred a ton. Two, the big policy things that I think people actually care about, he's taking the conservative/Republican stance on it. And whether or not he's going to be able to convince people that that's his stance, or if people are going to go, yeah, right, dude, which I hope. But like, for example, like the border, well, like, I think Republicans/Trump/conservatives have done enough to ingrain it into the American people's mind with the whole build the wall, with all of the talk about immigration for the last 10, 15 years, that people are going to go, yeah, the whole like stopping the flood of illegal immigration, that's their issue that they really want to push in terms of Republicans do. And so him getting up
the last push is like too little too late. I don't think it's
what's what I'm saying. Like, I don't like the thing that he made clear and evident was, well, I'm going to do this to stop immigration and make trials happen quicker, asylum claims, which I would want. But if he's going to try and convince the overall populace that that's what he's been wanting to do all along,
there's no way. He's been doing
there's
like
no way people buy that.
No.
So like, what an odd like direction to go. And from a speech writing standpoint,
I mean, like the most partisan people actually do believe that. I've seen it.
Yeah, but they don't matter. Like the 15% of like crazy libs blue no matter who. Like, they're going to do whatever they want. Like, that's fine. I don't care about those people. You're trying to talk to, like, the low information, silly Billy voters, the 100,000 people in America that actually decide the election when it comes down to it. Like, can you convince them that, no,
Yeah.
I've been for the border
No,
the whole time?
The border's been the Republicans' issue for like a decade. So
Yeah, and
you can't just switch it all of a sudden.
yeah, and I just,
In like
I
a
like,
month.
from a speech writing standpoint, that was just not like good. Like, he went too in depth, and I say he, but in reality, it's like the speechwriters. The speechwriters, I think, one, are the D team at this point. It was like Obama's first term, Obama's second term, then kind of the interim, and now we're on like the fourth iteration of Obama White House staffers. And so the people writing his speech, I think, are like the D League of politicos in Washington, D.C. And from a speech writing standpoint, like, there's stuff that he went deep on that he just shouldn't have. Like, he shouldn't have brought up the border stuff in the context that he did. He should have just said, hey, we put a bill out there, Republicans said no to it, and then left it at that. And like,
Yeah,
again,
they could have done that. It would have, if it was a lot shorter, it would have been better.
and he would have been wrong.
They thought that they had to bring it up because
When he would have been wrong, and I would have
big
disagreed with him, but that would have been like whatever. Like, he would, but like now they're trying to, like, if you're trying to convince people that no, we've been for border security the entire time, like, good luck, dude.
Yeah.
Like, not. And then like the inflation one's the same thing. Like, the inflation has come down from 9% to 3%. Like, okay.
He did not dwell on that one very long.
No, he didn't, but he still, like, he talked about like price gouging, and he talked about like junk fees and all that sort of stuff. And I just feel like people aren't going to buy that. Like, it's too, all the damage is
What for
already.
those online convenience fees?
Yeah, I don't, that's not him. That's one of his 22-year-old college interns who's like dirt poor and is like,
who's mad when they bought their T-Swifts on Ticketmaster, they got charged like a bunch of convenience fees.
Yeah, and then I think, I honestly God think that this is what happened. I think somebody was going probably to a Taylor Swift concert and said, what the heck? There's $30 in fees here. And then, because the president doesn't tweet himself, the 24-year-old intern tweeted, we need to get rid of these junk fees. And then that became a policy that he started to talk about. I actually think that's how that happened. But
why do I have to pay to pick a seat when I fly on an airplane?
Well, and the thing too is, like, I don't like those fees either, but I also am old enough and been around the block enough times to know, like, yeah, that's just part of how that is. And personally, I would love for the free market to blossom another company that I can go to that doesn't do that. And once that happens, I'm all about it. But yeah, the government also, like, when he's talking about inflation and shrinkflation, like, the snacks, like
the snack companies.
Do people think the president of the United States is going to go after Big Snack and
those Jerks and Nabisco need to be taken down a peg?
He's going to force a minimum mandatory amount of chips in a bag of chips. Like,
yeah, that was odd.
That's
always been an odd take because, like, I feel like that could resonate with people, but it's such an old person comment to make. Like, there's just not as many chips in the bag as there used to be. Like, I don't know. I feel like when he says it, it comes across a lot worse than if someone younger said it.
The other thing too is, like, I wonder how the lefty pundits are gonna, like, view this. So you heard Joe Scarborough talking on MSNBC, like, this is the best iteration of Joe Biden there's ever been. But so that's the thing is, I wonder, so Joe Biden famously watches.
We're going to continue on that.
Yeah, but Joe Biden watches Morning Joe. Like, it's his favorite cable news show. If he's watching Morning Joe and Joe Scarborough is saying, this is the best Joe Biden I've ever seen, and he gets that, like, oomph of, like, yeah, like, I'm the best I've ever been, and then goes out and talks more, that fixes the Democrat problem and makes you a decent amount of money. For anybody who wasn't watching beforehand, Duncan has placed a significant amount of investment in Joe Biden not being the nominee for the Democratic Party. Do you want to expand on that at all?
I don't know if that was a good idea, honestly. After watching tonight, like, he's in it, man. He is in it to win it. Like, he thinks he's the only one that can beat Trump.
Isn't that nuts?
He's got enough people around him telling him that I mean, Joe Scarborough Day's like, yeah, man. He probably thinks he's so good now, which you're right. He might go out more and actually start talking in public and not listening to his staff.
I wonder, and I wonder though too, who is, because from a White House transition team, right? If you are close to the president and you're an advisor or some kind, don't you think that you would be able to parlay your job into the next administration easier than having to gamble on this guy winning again? Does that make sense?
I don't know. If you already have a job with him, then you get to keep it at least.
Well, that's what I'm saying is that's the risk. Like, the risk is, so Trump now being the nominee of the Republican Party, right? Like, Democrats aren't stupid. Like, Joe Biden is probably not the only one that could lose to him, but like he's the easiest Democrat to beat. I'll say that. And so
Joe doesn't think so, though. Joe thinks that he's the only person.
No, I get that. I get that. Well, no, because he said so himself. He's like, it would be easier for other Democrats to do it, but I have more experience.
He doesn't think that, though.
Yeah. Well, okay. So what I'm looking at is from like the standpoint of the advisors that are close to him. Like, you're betting here, right, that he's going to win again. Or you could try and convince him to get out and then hope to use your resume to get a job in the next administration, betting on a horse that you think could actually win, like a Gretchen Whitmer, like a Gavin Newsom, like a Kathy Hochul, whatever a Democrat they end up putting up has a better shot than Joe Biden does.
Well, that's why I placed the bet in the first place. I think that the poll numbers were close enough for so long that they were willing to take that risk and keep their jobs with the current administration. The reason I placed the bet is the poll numbers they're so bad now that them keeping Joe in the race is the same as them giving up, in my opinion. Like, those numbers are so bad.
Does the DNC still have that like crazy super delegate thing where basically the big time donors can overrule the whole party?
I'm sure. I'm
like
sure
a
they do.
Convention type thing?
Hmm.
Because if that's the case,
maybe.
yeah. I don't know. Dude, the theory that they were talking about on Daily Wire backstage, I think it was Jeremy that was talking about it. He was like, look, if Biden can get all the way to the convention and then there's like a convention scuffle and Michelle Obama decides to get in, like that's the scariest scenario, I think.
It won't be her.
If you were to pick a Democrat other than Joe Biden who's probably most likely to beat Donald Trump, I think it's Michelle Obama.
Yeah, but she has her private life now. Like, she already was in the White House. She already got to experience all the pomp and circumstance that goes with that. Like,
yeah, dude, I don't know.
From what
I don't
people
know
have heard, she's not interested. I've heard so many different people claim to know like insider sources. They're like, no, she's not interested because she doesn't want to run. She doesn't want to go on the campaign trail.
That's what I'm saying. She doesn't have to. She wouldn't have to. If it was a brokered convention and you only have 2 months until the actual election or 3 months, whatever it is.
She's more or less just anointed there.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I have no interest in being the president of the United States. But
if someone just offered you the job.
If someone's like, hey, do you want this job? Like, sure.
Yeah, I don't know, man. She already was in the White House. She already got to see what it's like. She probably gets to hear about what it's like from her husband.
But she wasn't the guy.
I don't think she cares.
What do you think the talking heads are all going to be talking about tomorrow with this speech? Like, do you think it's worth? Because I watch it, and like, yeah, you can like quibble. You can quibble with pretty much everything. Everything he said was either dishonest.
Every single thing that he said was crap.
So, do you think like the talking heads do that? Do they take the time, or is it just a waste of time being like, hey, like he was really slurry, and his biggest, brightest point was when he said, "We're going to stop illegal immigration," and everybody cheered.
I don't know, because you're right. Picking apart his speech just seems so pointless.
Yeah, I mean, because it didn't sway anybody. Like nobody watching this stream right now.
I think the main takeaway is that he sounded really, really old, and I think the takeaway from like the lefties on CNN and MSNBC is going to be like, "Wow, look how great he did. He did so good. Like he made it through the whole thing."
In your opinion, so I think compared to last year,
the bar was set so low. Basically, like if he made it through it,
don't collapse. Yeah,
exactly.
So I having watched last year, actually, you know what? I didn't watch last year's. I watched a lot of clips of last year's, but I made it a point and then publicized I didn't watch last year's SOTU because the SOTU is stupid. But of all the clips that I've watched compiled of last year's versus this year's, this is definitely a step backward in terms of dictation and being able to read the teleprompter and all that sort of stuff. But
it's
like
wild. If you hear clips of him at the beginning of his presidency, he sounds. We were talking about how old he sounded then. He sounds so good. He sounds so much better.
Relative.
Now.
Yeah, relative. The I got hairy legs.
And then if you hear him from like the 90s, it's crazy. It's like he's a different person.
Yeah, when he's talking about the crime bill. Dude, yeah, super interesting.
He's still in there. He's still talking to people.
Yeah, because this is his jam.
Yeah.
I wonder, like, yeah, I don't know. I'm curious to see how, like, the conservative people. Oh,
he definitely beat expectations for sure. Or at least he met them. I guess.
Great. Like, I woke up this morning. Wow, you've exceeded expectations.
He made it. Like him making it through the speech was the bar that he needed to pass, and he made it through the speech.
Do you?
Good for him.
Oh, dang it! I lost my train of thought. What was I going to say? Do they talk? Does anybody talk about this? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's worth the time going through and dissecting things, because does that lady have a pin on her shirt that just says abortion?
Yeah.
Wow. See, that's weird, man. Like that's like,
yeah, it is.
Like you can be, you can make up your mind on how you want to vote in certain situations, but that's a lot. I mean,
that's a weird thing.
I don't think anybody has a button that says Crusades on it. Not that would be the same thing at all. What?
If you had a button, what would it say?
It would be something confusing and somewhat funny. It wouldn't be at all serious. Like that lady takes herself very seriously, whoever that is. I think she's probably a congresswoman. Who's that talking to him now?
I don't know. How do you think they decide who gets to go up and talk to him after the speech?
Oh, dude, it's a free for all. No, I guarantee you it's a free for all. 100%.
Wouldn't everybody want to go up there though?
Yeah. Oh yeah, and that's how it is. Like, again, kind of having been obviously not with him with a president. Yeah, that's like you just swarm, and whoever swarms faster and better gets a picture with him. That's how Trump is at Mar-a-Lago. Like if you he has security, but like he's just there, and like there's no deciding. Oh, this person is gonna go take a like. It's just you go or you don't. And the last couple of years have never decided to walk over to the other side of the pool because I'm lazy.
Yeah.
any final thoughts here?
No, this is what I thought would happen. This is pretty much exactly what I thought would happen.
Yeah. Interesting. I'm
He
curious.
always does like better. I feel like he does so bad when he's answering questions or dealing with the press or doing anything like that. He always does such a bad job, and he seems so old, and he flubs so much, and you think like, man, like next time he actually does a serious thing, he's really gonna bomb. And then he does a debate or the State of the Union, and he always exceeds expectations. Like whatever they give him works really well.
You know what I would like to see? This is kind of not related to what you just said. You know what I think I would like to see, and we should have talked about this beforehand. I would love to see the Republicans that are there on their side, both in the Senate and the House, and all of their guests. I would love to see them take a different approach to reacting to what Biden or whoever the Democrat president is. Like, when he said something about immigration, like, and we're trying to stop illegal immigration, like, everybody knows that's BS. Like, the bill that he's, like, talking about, we were going to put this many Border Patrol agents. Like, no, you're going to put paper pushers to process the people who are already crossing illegally and therefore let them go. Like,
to get people in quicker.
Yeah. So that point is not worth arguing, because you either know that or you don't, and there's no room to argue it there. But like the reaction that the Republicans had are like, boo, like that's not what's happening. I think it would be more impactful, and what I would like to see is them laugh. Like, I would love to see.
Oh, we got the rebuttal.
Do we care about this? Do you want to watch this?
Okay.
Yeah, let's throw the sound on. See what this is. Oh shoot! Hold on. Give me a second. Here we go.
My daughter Bennett and my son Ridgway are why I ran for the Senate. I'm worried about their future and the future of children in every.
This looks like we're interviewing her.
And that's why I invited you into our home tonight. Like so many families across America, my husband Wesley and I just watched President Biden's State of the Union address from our living room. And what we saw was the performance of a permanent politician who has
Who is this? She's a senator?
For longer than I've been alive.
Is she a senator?
One thing was quite clear, though.
Katie,
Biden just doesn't get it.
Huh?
He's out of touch. Under his administration, families are worse off. Our communities are less safe, and our country is less secure. I just wish he understood what real families are facing around kitchen tables.
Holy cow.
Like this one.
What?
You know, this is where our family.
She was
has
at
tough
26,000 Twitter
conversations.
followers.
It's where we make hard decisions. It's where we share the
when
good,
she
the bad,
when she
and
started
the
this
ugly
speech, and she's
of
now
our
at
days.
30,000.
It's where we laugh together.
I'm gonna try and screenshot
and
an
it's where we
Instagram.
hold each other's hands and pray for God's guidance. And many nights, to be honest, it's where Wesley and I worry. I know we're not alone. And so tonight,
Okay, 14,000 on Instagram,
needs to have
15,000 on her Senate page. She's a
because
U.S.
the
senator.
truth
That's
is,
interesting.
We're all worried about the future of our nation. The country we know and love seems to be slipping away, and it feels like the next generation will have fewer opportunities and less freedoms than we did. I worry my own children may not even get a shot at living their American dreams.
Oh, I'm
My
sure your kids will be
American dream.
just fine.
Yeah, well, you're going to be okay. Don't worry about that.
Business owners from rural Enterprise, Alabama, to be elected to the United States Senate at the age of 40.
Yeah, she's
Growing
42.
up, sweeping the floor at my dad's hardware store and cleaning the bathroom at my mom's dance studio, I never
Good for her.
could have imagined what
Yeah.
my story would entail. To think about what the American dream
30,500
across
Twitter
just
followers.
one generation.
All
And
right, I'm
climbing.
not interested in the follower.
Just
Really? You don't think that's interesting?
It's truly breathtaking.
Not really. I know that's the whole reason you do this, but
Right now,
Well, yeah, but
the
I'm not
American
interested in
dream
what she's
has turned
saying. Like, I
into a
mean,
nightmare for
now I know
so
she exists.
many families. The true, unvarnished state of our union begins and ends with this. Our families are hurting.
Katie's
Our
right. She's
country
overacting.
can do better. And you don't have to look any further than the crisis at our southern border.
But I don't know, maybe that's what people want. I don't know.
President Biden inherited the most secure border of all time. But minutes after taking office,
he's not going to win on that issue.
he suspended all deportations, he halted construction of the border wall, and he announced a plan to give amnesty to millions. We know that President Biden didn't just create this border crisis. He invited it with 94 executive actions in his first 100 days. When I took office, I took a different approach. I traveled to the Del Rio sector of Texas.
How would you feel about wrapping this thing up?
That's where I spoke to a woman
What?
who shared her
Your
story
phone.
with me.
Oh,
She
yeah.
had been
Well, I'm
sex
looking at
trafficked by the
different
cartels
things.
starting at the age of 12. She told me not just that she was raped every day,
Yeah.
but how many times a day she was raped. The cartels put her on a mattress in a shoebox of a room, and they
I think
sent
this is a winner.
through
I think that's
that
what you have to
door
do.
over
I think
and
that's what Trump
over
should do.
again for hours and hours on end.
You know,
We wouldn't
I might be
okay
changing
with
my
this
mind on the
happening in
overact.
a
Like,
third
yeah, is it
world
overdone?
country.
Yes. But maybe that's
This
what
is
you
the
do.
United States of
I think
America.
Trump should go
And it
super
is past
dark
time,
about
in
it
my
also,
opinion, that
because
we start acting like it.
I think you just win so easily.
President Biden's border policies are
It's horrible
a
for our country, and it's
disgrace.
horrible for the
This
people that
crisis
come over
is
too.
despicable.
Like the people that are
And
coming
the truth
over are
is,
getting
it is
abused like
almost
crazy also.
entirely
Yeah.
preventable.
Like hundreds of thousands of Americans are dying
From
from like, the drugs
fentanyl
that are coming over. Like,
poisonings to horrific
just make it
murders.
as blunt and as real as
There are
possible.
empty chairs
And
You know what?
tonight,
The
kitchen
only
tables,
thing I would
just
change about
like
this,
this one,
if you're gonna go
because
with being
of
that,
President Biden's senseless border
what's the
policies.
word? I don't want to say devastated because
Just think
Passionate?
about Lincoln Riley.
passionate. Yeah. If you're
In
gonna
the
go with
neighboring
being this
state of
passionate,
Georgia,
don't script
this
it.
beautiful
I think just talk.
22-year-old nurse
Like, get your thoughts in order,
When I
obviously,
was
which you have a lot of time to do, but she's reading a
She
teleprompter,
never
I think, which is
got the
fine,
opportunity to
but
return
it's
home.
tough to convey
brutally
that amount of
murdered
emotion and
by
passion
one of
and
the
also
millions
read a script
of
at the same
illegal
time.
border crossers
Yeah, if you're a pro, you
President
don't have to
Biden
do that.
chose
Yeah.
to release into our homeland. Well, as a mom, I can't quit thinking about this. I mean, this could have been my daughter. This could have been yours.
If Trump if he
And
just talks
tonight,
about immigration and
President
inflation,
Biden
just those two
finally
things, if that's all he focuses on, he wins so
But he
easily.
refused to take responsibility for his
Just
own
up 1,500 followers since we talked
Mr.
last.
President,
Okay, cool.
enough
With
is
Nikki
enough.
out of the race,
Innocent
I think
Americans
that
are dead.
Nikki's out of the race?
You only have yourself to
you do
blame.
that. With her out of the race,
Fulfill your oath of office.
like it clears the
Reverse
field.
your
He doesn't have to
policies.
bash
End
people on his own
this
side anymore.
crisis and
He
stop
can just
the
rail
suffering.
on Biden and just talk about immigration and inflation. And if he just does that on every campaign rally, and that's all he does, that's all he talks about, it's just over. Like he
His
wins so
reckless
easily.
spending dug our economy into a hole.
Look at this
and
comment.
the cost of
Joe
living
Bob, you should do the
through
rebuttal.
the roof.
I don't know what
We
the situation would have to
worst
be.
inflation,
One, I think don't you have to be elected? I would imagine.
highest
Wait,
credit
like,
card
why-
debt in our nation's
Talk about
history.
unprecedented.
Give me the
Why
rebuttal.
wouldn't-
Dan from Ohio.
Hardworking families are struggling to
Why-
make
He's an
ends meet
electrician.
too.
Okay, is there a reason why? Obviously, it'd be unprecedented, but everything's unprecedented. Is there a reason why Trump wouldn't or shouldn't do the rebuttal? Everything he said was a lie.
Yeah,
You can see it with your own eyes.
he doesn't need to. I think if Trump pulls the same campaign that Biden did last time and kind of lays low, and when he is out, he just talks
Dude.
about immigration and inflation, it's just so over.
That first debate, like, if he doesn't do that, he wins.
Yeah.
It was the first debate where he acted like a child.
He was just kind of a jerk. and people
Yeah, it
didn't
was
like
rude.
that.
Nobody liked it.
I did everything.
So if all he does is go out and talk about the people that have been murdered by illegal immigrants and the fact that gas was $1.29 or whatever it was when he was president, and now it's
Yeah.
X amount, he wins. It's so easy.
But let's be honest.
She's up over 5,000 followers on Twitter since this started.
Gas, ran a carpool, or even pushed a grocery cart. Meanwhile,
Yeah, I'm pretty optimistic about November.
and we know it can't go as far. We see it
I wasn't a couple months ago, but honestly, Trump is looking super disciplined. He's looking really good at his rallies.
Yeah.
I've been impressed.
It's the discipline part.
Biden looks just worse and worse every time you see him.
the police, all while letting repeat offenders.
So,
The result is
Katie Britt's husband,
from our small
drafted by the Chargers in 2005 after graduating from Alabama, Roll Tide. 6'8", 300 pounds, played for the Patriots for 9 years. Sorry, 4 years.
He is making us a punchline on the
In case you wanted to know any of that. Dude, Alabama family, man. Like I might go put some money on Katie Britt. Just not in this election at all, but just going in the future. She's obviously ambitious enough to do this thankless job of the rebuttal.
Uh-huh.
desperately pushing another dangerous deal with Iran. President Biden has
He could hit foreign policy too. I don't know. I think Trump's strategy on foreign policy is really good too. He just kind of stays really ambiguous about it.
The ambiguity of it, like I don't know.
Well, all he used to do is just say, well, because he was good at foreign policy because all he did was just try and make good deals.
slaughtered Israeli, Jews, and American citizens. They targeted commercial shipping, and they attacked.
Yeah, I think his whole strategy on Ukraine is really good, where he just talks about it's like, well, when I get in office, I'll just make a deal and end the war. Like that's a good strategy.
The Chinese Communist Party is undercutting America's workers.
Yeah. See, there's parts of this though that are just like this is too much. Dial it back.
Spreading propaganda through the likes of TikTok. You see, the
I thought this was just really interesting that I wanted to bring up. Hold on. So Katie Porter, who we were talking about earlier, tweeted this thing. I'm gonna mute her for a second. We don't, unless you guys are like really into Katie Britt. However many of you are still watching this. Katie Porter, I thought this was really interesting. Yesterday, put out a statement that said. So Katie Porter, for anybody just recapping, Katie Porter lost in the Senate race in California. She's a congresswoman from Orange County and was running against Adam Schiff, who paid $10 million to his opponent's campaign.
Which is hilarious, dude.
So that he could run against a Republican.
It's a good strategy.
Big old Katie didn't like that. That was rude. I didn't need to say that. Didn't need to mock her body shape. Also wasn't wrong. But Katie Porter said this in a statement. Rigged means manipulated by dishonest means. A few billionaires spent $10 million on attack ads against me. Yada, 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 yada. I said rigged by billionaires. So basically, Katie Porter said it's rigged if people collude against your campaign. Which, by that definition, I wonder what she thinks about the 2020 election.
Yeah, the whole rigged line is not a good look. But it is pretty wild that Schiff gave Garvey money to win. Dude, that's how dirty politics is.
Hopefully this is wrapping up here.
No, it's going to go a long time. I think
you're almost done.
It's past 9 o'clock.
Well, it's past. Well, for you, it's 11 o'clock over there.
Know the choice the Republican Party is fighting for. We are the party of hard-working parents and families. And we want to give you and your children the opportunities to thrive. And we
What was
want
that?
families to grow.
Oh,
It's why we strongly
looks like Duncan left.
continued nationwide access to in-vitro fertilization.
Did you leave on purpose, or did I accidentally click you?
No, my internet dropped. Anything else you want to chat about?
No, I think that's it. I don't need to see the rest of this. I'll give one more update for the people who are curious about Miss Katie Britt's online social media presence since starting this speech. She was at, what did we say, 10,000? Sorry, no, it's 26,000 Twitter followers before the speech started. She is now at 32,300. So, taking the pounding of the media after giving the Republican rebuttal, gained her some new followers.
I know you're probably disgusted by most of what you see going on in Washington, and I'll be completely honest with you.
All right, well,
You're not wrong for feeling.
let's go ahead and.
I get it. The task in front of us isn't.
I'm trying to think. I don't really think I have a lot else to.
Yeah, I think that was it. That was, I mean, well, it was what it was. It you know, it happened.
Yeah, I think Joe Biden's toast.
Yeah, but he's gonna stay in. He didn't.
No, he's gonna stay in. He's such a narcissist that he's gonna stay.
He didn't. Yeah, he didn't fall on his face. He slurred a ton, but he didn't poop his pants. Actually,
He didn't fall on his face, but
we don't.
He comes across as so unbelievably old, and I think that's just not gonna play.
We don't actually know that he didn't poop his pants, so.
He's unbelievably old. He's done a terrible job as president. Everyone is worse off. He's toast.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess on that cheery note, thank all of you who were. There were like a couple hundred people watching concurrently most of the time. I know that they were also watching the speech that probably were not super thrilled with.
It's pretty boring, honestly.
But anyways, so
there were a couple interesting parts.
Yeah.
That their whole middle part, like basically when you left to go put Mariah down, was by far the most boring part of the whole speech. Like nothing happened, and he kind of just talked about all the money he was going to spend.
I planned it that way. All right, well, let's do this again and talk about more interesting things at some point.
Yeah.
All of you in the comment section who I again continue watching, really appreciate all of you. Have a great evening. Adios.